all trying to figure out the state of the Chinese economy and I think more importantly, trying to figure out whatever problems they may be having, are they coming our way?
Well, Andrew, good morning to you. Look, I think this has been one heck of a summer for Xi Jinping. The economic problems continue to mount. We've seen all sorts of things that they've tried, including 2 rate cuts, and we've seen about $2.5 trillion of special purpose bonds sent to try and get infrastructure going. That hasn't worked. And I think largely, Andrew, this is a story about most people in China believing that pandemic control still supersedes economic growth and development. And until the government sends a clear sign about what they're prepared to do to ease some of the pandemic pressure, I think we're going to continue to see a sluggish economy. So I'm not optimistic that what we've seen in terms of monetary policy will do the trick. I think credit is plenty cheap. It's just sentiment and demand is sluggish. So I'm not optimistic that we're going to see anything change politically or economically before we get to the 20th Party Congress. So I think a lot of people are in a wait and see mode.
That's what I was going to ask. Is this an issue of timing? Are you of the view that after the Party Congress, all of a sudden, President Xi says, okay, I'm changing tact? Is that the conventional wisdom at this point?
I wouldn't say it's the conventional wisdom. I do think that there's some real structural problems that Xi himself has created through some of his policy proposals that he's pushed. I think things will become clearer. Let me be clear. I think things will become clearer after the Party Congress. I'm not sure that they'll get any better after the Party Congress.
Do you think that this policy makes him more popular or less popular? Meaning, if he were to lift some of the COVID restrictions and the like now, would that increase his popularity or would that diminish his popularity?
Well, I certainly think it will help a lot of businesses and a lot of Chinese people who've suffered under zero COVID. But I think popularity is one of those things that we have to be concerned about it. Xi does not. But I think, yes, I assume it would increase his popularity. But popularity, as you know, does not equal power for Xi. Xi is pretty all-powerful, regardless of how popular he may be in China.
Before we go, just a little bit of speculation. Post-Party Congress, so we're talking about, call it Christmas at this point. What are the other things you think he may or may not do when it comes to businesses, both Chinese and otherwise? Are there big things you think that are in the offing?
I think that what we're likely to see, Andrew, is more of Xi trying to regain control of Chinese markets and push China as a place to attract that. I think that's been lagging in a way that has hurt China. And I think Xi wants to signal that they're open for business. I'm not sure, particularly given the report that we just heard from Eunice Yoon, that people will accept that or buy that. But I think you'll see more of an effort to say we're open for business.